It's time for Bring Your Own Lunch, a podcast for your whole face, with your host, Dave T. Koenig.
Yeah, hopefully we won't be hearing that one too much longer. Hey, how are you? Come on in, have a seat, welcome. This is the Bring Your Own Lunch podcast at BringYourOwnLunch.com, the magic of iTunes, the majesty of Stitcher, and however you found your way to download this podcast where we hear personal stories about the business. As you're to the top, my name is Dave T. Koenig. I'm an actor, writer, director, producer, comedian, all-around swell fella, and cornbread aficionado. And, of course, I'm the host of the podcast you're listening to right now, BYOL, if you want to give us a shout-out on Facebook or Twitter. We do have a Facebook account, facebook.com/bringyourownlunch. We're on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. You can come to our website, bringyourownlunch.com. And as this is a free weekly podcast, the best thing you can do to repay and show your gratitude, if you do, in fact, have any, which is debatable, it's up to you, you can go to iTunes, you can rate, review, subscribe, continue to download, tell a friend. That's how you can help me out and get the word out there so we can keep sharing this with everybody because, you know, it's been a fun ride, and I think we've had some tremendous guests, and it's fun when we all work on it together. Speaking of guests, my guest this week is a fascinating one. He's a guy I wanted to have on this podcast since I really first thought of doing one. Billy Serow. He is a voiceover agent, and he's also the vice president of the voiceover department at Abrams Artists in New York. Abrams Artists is a big agency, one of the top agencies in the country, if not the world. And I don't say that simply because I'm a client. It's actually true. They represent some of the most famous people you can think of, and the voiceover department is no exception. Billy has had a fascinating experience in the business, and I really wanted to find out how he went from where he started, which was as an actor, and he was a casting director and then became an agent, first with William Morris Agency and now with Abrams Artists, and what his place is in the entire scheme of things. And if you're not familiar with what an agent does, they represent actors. The actors get auditions for jobs, but they do that through their agent, and then the agent arranges the time for the auditions, and if the actor books the job, the agent oversees the process of negotiating how much they get paid and making sure the process of getting paid is smooth, and that's how they make their living. And when you have a roster like Abrams has, where they represent several different clients of varying age and experience levels, you put those all together and companies can really do well for themselves. And Billy is one of the top agents in the voiceover industry, period. So if you are interested in what goes into the process of being a voiceover agent, Billy shares some of the wisdom there. If you are interested in becoming an agent, he can give you a little bit of an idea what his path was, and you can see how you can maybe do that for yourself if you are interested. And certainly I know there's a lot of people out there who think, hey man, it would be great to do voiceovers. And I wanted to make sure on behalf of people who are those who might think, hey, I want to try giving voiceovers a shot. I ask him point blank, what does it take to become a voiceover actor? And his answer may be sobering for some, which is fine. He's a very credible expert to answer on something like that, and I certainly wouldn't want anybody to be discouraged by anything. But Billy knows of what he speaks, and so he kind of lays it out for you. If you really want to get into voiceovers, he tells you step one, what you need to do to get into doing that, and that really just involves sitting in front of a microphone and talking, much like what I'm doing right now, and you do it for various clients or for films and television. There's a lot of jobs in the voiceover industry, and right now Billy is at the top of that industry, helping guide actors into and through the business of making money with your voice. And he has had amazing experiences with people you have definitely heard of, and some of which he shares with me and you today, including the one actor he is proud to say that he discovered before anybody else. And it's a great story. And it's the first of what I hope will be a couple of times sitting with Billy, because he's got great stories. And every time I go into the office, I kind of just sit and listen to what he has to say, because he's just been there and done everything and basically knows everybody. And for this interview, I did stop in, and it is recorded in Billy's office at Abrams Artists in the middle of Manhattan. So you may hear some people in the background talking, because it's a very busy office. It's a very nice office, but all the people who work with and for Billy are right next to each other, so they do talk. Even though we had the door closed, there's still plenty of activity, and it's always nice being a client of Abrams Artists when it is busy there, because it means people are getting work, and that's always a good sign. At the top, I kind of joked that hopefully we wouldn't hear that intro anymore. And here's the truth about the intro to this podcast. If you haven't figured it out already, which you may or may not have, but the voice at the beginning, that sort of voice of God at the beginning, is just me. I just recorded it. And the whole gist was that I had planned on doing this podcast. I was all set to do it. And then I realized, oh man, I forgot to ask somebody to record the intro for it. And I was maybe going to have guests do it, but I never ended up doing it. And I really wanted to launch the podcast when I did. If you haven't listened to the first one, it's with Abigail Shaman. She was leaving for England. She was moving there. So I wanted to do it in advance of her moving. At least get the show on the road, and I was left with no voice, so I did it myself. I've never been thrilled with it, and the catchphrase I use, podcast for your whole face, was almost like a joke that I told myself. Originally, the concept of the show would be where I would sit and actually eat lunch with the guests. At this point, it seems like the dumbest idea ever, but that's what I went into it thinking, because of the conversations I have over food with people is always so interesting to me when I'm talking to people in the business, that I thought, hey, we'll just actually eat lunch and talk. But then I realized that's pretty stupid, and I think the only person I ever actually sat with to record this podcast and eat with was David Neal Levin. If you want to go back and listen to that one, you can hear some of our chewing. But nonetheless, I've never been thrilled with the intro to the show, and I definitely don't like that catchphrase. That's been sort of diminished over time, and it's definitely outdated at this point. So here's what I propose. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, you're listening to this podcast, and I'm going to reach out to Reddit and Facebook and places like that, and hopefully inspire somebody to want to do the intro to this show. I can't promise you fame, fortune, or anything like that. Heck, I can't even pay you, but it's an opportunity. If you want to do something in a voiceover-minded way, you can be the person who introduces the podcast at the beginning of every week's show. Now, hopefully, I will find one person who is awesome at it and will be the voice. Now, I'm not opposed to finding a couple of people or more who will be rotated as I do this podcast moving forward. So it's kind of an open-ended thing. I don't have a timeline on it. I don't have a deadline for it. All I know is I want that initial thing at the beginning where you hear it's time for Bring Your Own Lunch. I want that gone, and I want a new one in its place. So I'm asking you to think about it, and if you are so inspired, I'm going to put on the website the little script that I would like read. It's very simple. It's going to say, it's time for Bring Your Own Lunch, personal stories about the business with your host, Dave T. Koenig. And please don't say Koenig, because I'll be ticked off. But if you can record that line and send it to me, you may very well be the new the voice of God for this show. So give it a shot, and you can always send it to me, Dave at bringyourownlunch.com, and let's see what happens. I think it'd be a fun way to at least reach out to people and give somebody an opportunity, if not more than one somebody an opportunity. So there's your challenge, and I hope you will accept. Of course, got to thank some people before we move on. Banuba's always here, and they're not going anywhere. I'm very happy with them. Banuba.net is their website. Banooba is where you will find them and find out where they'll be playing live and download some of their music. They are the ones who provide the music at the beginning, middle, and end of this show, and they are terrific, so please do go check them out. Oh, and if you do, in fact, become a voice of this show, I'm definitely going to plug whatever you're doing. I mean, if you haven't listened to this podcast yet more than once, you're going to know that I'm kind of obsessive about saying thank you to people who help me out. So I will be plugging you along the way as much as I do Banuba or anybody else, including, let's say, the New York Short Film Shootout. I'm recording this on Tuesday, and I'm gearing up to head out the door so I can go co-host with Vinny Petrosini, the New York Short Film Shootout 5. If you happen to be listening to this before it actually happens on November 18th, Tuesday night at 8 p.m., you can come join us. I'm not expecting that will happen. However, if you're around and you have $10 to spend, come watch a great night of short films with us at Treehouse Theater in the heart of New York City, 154 West 29th Street in New York City. And we do have a date ahead of time for the December show, which is awesome. So you can come join us, if not tonight, and I say tonight in the universal sense because I'm recording this on Tuesday, but who knows when you're listening to it. But if you are around on Tuesday, December 16th at 8 p.m., come to the Treehouse Theater for New York Short Film Shootout number 6. We've already gotten a slew of submissions for that one, and we're always looking for more. You can submit your short film. That's 15 minutes or so or less. It could be any genre from any year. It doesn't have to be something that wasn't shown anywhere else. It's just basically a showcase, a forum for your films. You can always send that to submissions at nysfso.com. That's short for New York Short Film Shootout.com. Don't send it to New York Short Film Shootout.com because we don't own that domain. And if you're a squatter, I guess I just gave you a good idea. And if you want to check out the venue for the New York Short Film Shootout, you can go to treehousenyc.com. That's where we'll be, 154 West 29th Street in New York City. So come join us because it'll be a lot of fun. All right, let's get into it. The first of what I hope will be a couple of or more interviews with Billy Serow, entertainment specialist, voiceover agent, vice president of Abrams Artists, adjunct professor at Yale and Rutgers, and just a funny, fun guy to talk to. Here's Billy Serow. Enjoy. You are active on Facebook.
Yeah. I use it for comedy's sake.
For comedy's sake, but not business sake.
It has occasionally been a really good business tool especially when in the days when I couldn't track somebody down at night if I had a booking or something for them the next morning and they were, I didn't have phone or email, and I would just contact them through Facebook, whether they were my friend on Facebook or not.
Right.
And
I think that's a lot of actors. Not a lot of actors, I should say. Dwindling numbers of actors say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get online. I'm not going to make myself available. Is that the dumbest thing that they could do?
I think it may depend on their level of celebrity. I think people who are celebrities need the necessity of having a fan page versus a personal Facebook page, or to have a fan page in addition to a personal page. And then you're very selective about who you're friends with personally, but professionally on a fan page, you can, have greater access.
What's funny? What's funny is that I asked that, and you gave me the celebrity's perspective on it, and I'm like, what about the actor who doesn't have a name value in the business? Isn't it kind of stupid? But I guess there's you represent a large range of people, and have for a long time.
I have.
How long have you been an agent?
I've been an agent for, let me see, since 1997.
97.
I've been an agent. In 1997, I owned a casting business. I was approached by the William Morris Agency, and they said, "We want you to sell your business and come work for the devil." And
wow! And you consider the devil? I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but.
In retro, it's certainly not the devil. It was a great opportunity for me, and I learned a lot. The only thing there that I always found at that point in time, I think it's changed a lot now, but there was a kind of a cult. It was kind of like there was the deification of the talent agent there.
Okay.
And I mean, there were things that I was told when I first started working there. One day I was my phones were ringing. There were lots of lines ringing, and my assistant was covering the best he could. And I picked up the phone. I answered my own phone, and my boss came in, just totally alarmed, and said, what the fuck are you doing? I said, I'm answering the phone. He goes, you don't answer your own phone.
Wow.
I went, oh, yeah, yes, I did.
And that just goes to show that the attitude that, you were supposed to uphold some sort of image. And it's the image, I guess, that a lot of people have in their heads about what an agent is based on what they see in movies and stuff. But what's the reality of being an agent for somebody? Because I know somebody might be listening to this and going, what the hell is an agent anyway? So what really is an agent?
An agent is well, first of all, I just want to backtrack for 1 second.
Sure.
For what you said.
Yeah.
Because when I was when Entourage was very, very popular, my son, his friends always used to ask him, like, so is your dad, is he like Ari in Entourage? And most of us aren't. Most of us aren't.
I haven't run into anybody who's like Ari. I mean,
that is a
show.
Character that is based in truth.
Right.
But I think it's easier to kill people with kindness than it is with intimidation.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, I mean, we're going to get sidetracked, but have you ever seen somebody try that method and have it work, where they just berate somebody into giving them something? Does that ever work?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. I've seen it. I saw it a lot at William Morris. Many agents did have that style. They were just really intimidating ball busters, and don't fuck with them.
I guess is that if they were representing somebody who has like some real stature in the business?
Yeah, and I think an actor thinks, has that perception of, oh man, that guy will just go to the well for me no matter what.
Right.
Whereas the reality might be that the buyer might think, what the fuck do I need to work with that guy for? Maybe I'll find a nicer guy and work with somebody else. Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's my own perspective on things that's coloring it, but I'm thinking just I wouldn't want to be shown the door, and that's like seems like the easiest way to just have somebody go, get the hell out of here, is have somebody, either you or somebody you're involved with, berate somebody into thinking they can get their way. But it's and maybe I'm too polite, but I don't see how that's a positive for somebody.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not a celebrity, so,
Well, when I was a young actor, I had an experience, ironically, with the William Morris agency that kind of taught me exactly what not to do. It's actually a pretty funny story. I thought I was in Macbeth off Broadway and played Macduff, and we got well reviewed, and I was actually considering leaving acting after that play, but I got a call from an agent at the William Morris agency saying, "I'd like to have you come in for an interview." So I went in for the interview. She kept me waiting for about an hour and a half. Then I walked into her office. She hardly made eye contact with me. She just kind of looked at my picture and said, "So, what have you been up to?" I said, "Well, I just finished Macbeth. I guess you saw me in Macbeth." And she said, "Oh, right. You were good. Yeah. So, what are you doing now?" I went, "Oh, looking for work." She goes, "What kind of work?" I said, "Acting. Plays, TV, film, stuff like that."
Acting stuff.
Yeah. And she goes, "Well, what kind of TV and film stuff have you done?" I said, "Well, I haven't really done any film, but I have the TV stuff I've done has been soaps. I've done 2 non-contract running roles on 2 different soaps. One was for 6 weeks, and the other one was for 6 months.
That's pretty good.
They were good gigs.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me and she said, "Well, I'm not going to send you up for soaps." And I misinterpreted what she meant, and I said, "Well, soap work is certainly not beneath me in any way, shape, or form. It's good money. I like soaps." And she goes, "No, you don't get it. I'm not sending you up for soaps because you're not good looking enough." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I've really gotten close to a couple of big contract roles on soaps." And she said, "Did you get them?" I said, "Man. Well, no, but I got down to the final 2. And so I think that's a positive sign." She goes, "Well, here's the deal. I'm not sending you up for soaps. You're not good looking enough.
Oh, man.
Do you have any other questions for me?" And I said, "No, I think the interview's over."
Wow. And you walked out.
And I walked out.
Good for you. Good for you.
But then cut to 10 years later.
Yeah.
And I was then the owner of the most successful casting company in New York City, casting thousands of commercials every year. And the receptionist says, hey, I have Miss Jones on the phone for you, using a fictitious name. And I said, oh, send her in, send her through. And so the call goes through, and says, and she goes, hi, Billy, this is Marty Jones, and I've just been out in L.A. for the last 7 years, and I just relocated back to New York, and I've heard nothing but wonderful things about your casting company, and I would love for the opportunity to get together with you and talk about business opportunities. And I said, well, that's very nice of you to say. Very nice words, Margie. We've met before. And she said, did we meet out in L.A.? Were you casting a project out in L.A.? I said, no. We met while you were working in New York.
Wow.
Before.
Wow.
And long pause. Well, I'm sorry, I don't remember, but I would really love to get together with you now and discuss business possibilities. And I said, well, Margie, I would love to do that too, but, and there was a pause you could drive a truck through.
You're right, sure.
And then, like, in my mind, like the thing in Times Square where the newsprint goes around the building, I was like, you're not good looking enough, was in my mind.
Oh, okay.
And I just said, but we're really fully staffed and there's really no opportunity here at the present time, but I thank you for your nice words and I'll see you down the road.
Oh my, so she was, when you said that, I thought maybe she was back as an agent here, and she was just trying to connect with a casting director, but she was looking for a job.
She was looking for work. Yeah. So that old adage of watch what you say to somebody
totally
on the way up, because you never know who you're going to meet on the way down.
That's incredible. Oh, man. And have you heard any, update on her? Or is she still around? Or
I don't know. I Googled her a couple of years ago, and there was some credits, but not really anything.
Well, there you go. I mean, like, no matter how high up you get, there's still, there's plenty of room to go down. Yeah.
Oh, and I did say to her in that initial interview, I said, aren't there any roles for like the Jew lawyer or the Jew best friend? I mean, is that the way you look at me? Because I have curly hair.
A lot of people worry about getting into acting because they might face that kind of like abject rejection and based on something as silly as looks. But do you think I've experienced very little of that. Do you think that it's kind of gone away?
So good looking.
Yeah, that's of course the reason why, Billy. I appreciate that. But do you think that it's gotten to be a little kinder over the years, or do you still think that that's happening?
I think the operative word of the millennium is real. Mm. And thank God, because when I first started in casting, I was casting for, then it was called Compton Advertising, then was bought by the Sachis and became Sachi and Sachi, which is the largest ad agency in the world today.
Yeah.
So, but I was casting a lot of commercials for Procter & Gamble and Johnson & Johnson. And I got a memo one day after a casting session from the Johnson & Johnson people saying, please, in the future, when we're casting housewives, we want them to be Caucasian only. Oh my. And we want them to be blonde only. Brunette to us connotes evil.
In writing, they had that.
In writing.
That's insane.
I know. So times have changed.
It sounds like the kind of thing that they'd make up and put on TV to show how evil the process is, but it actually existed.
It did exist. It did exist. And it was,
I didn't think it was that black and white.
It was, it was so black and white, but it was mostly with those companies. And then, obviously times have changed dramatically. And, these days, ethnically ambiguous is fantastic.
That keeps coming up like on this podcast. I have people on who fall into that ethnically ambiguous thing. And so far, at least from actors, they have no idea really what they're talking about there. For you, what does ethnically ambiguous mean?
Dark-haired.
Evil.
Maybe dark skin, a good tan, maybe. No, I just think it's, thank God you do see a lot of people of mixed race, or people that, and you just can't determine, well, they could be Italian, they could be Middle Eastern, they could be Jewish, they could be Greek, they could be anything.
Right. They just want somebody who can kind of go many different directions.
Yeah.
I guess it seems like that would make life easier, to try and find people who don't fit into such strict categories. Right. But am I right about that? Does it make it easier or harder to find people? I'm
not sure I know the answer to that. The only response I have, which is kind of unrelated to that, is that advertising is a trend following medium. It's not a trend setting medium.
True.
The trends will have to be set in another direction, and then advertisers go, that really works. Now we want people like the cast of Friends.
Right. Which is why I keep hoping that Kevin James gets to be popular again, because that's how I got in the first place. So you mentioned already, and we can kind of break this up in a little bit, but you started wanting to be an actor.
I started out, yes, I was an actor. I started
not just wanting to be, but obviously being an actor. No, I'm talking about like when you were young.
I started acting at the age of 6. I got my first professional job at the age of 17.
Okay.
And then went to college as a theater major, and then came to right to New York. And I studied with Sanford Meisner at the Neighborhood Playhouse and William Esper. And
what was that experience like? I mean, those nowadays we always know those names, but that was when those schools or those studios or those conservatories were like at the heat of their, or the height of their the powers, I suppose.
It was like studying with God, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It was for me, it was actually a mixed experience, because my whole career was a setup for failure. When I was a kid, literally, even through college, I never auditioned for anything I didn't get.
Wow.
I got everything.
Wow.
Because I was a decent actor instinctively, and I also could sing, and I also could move well enough to dance. And so I did a lot of musicals. I did a lot of plays, and I got to the Playhouse, and we were about 8 weeks into the method, and studying with Mr. Meisner at that point twice a week in the first year, and then the second year you have him 5 days a week. But I got up to do an exercise one day, and usually he gives you about 5 minutes to critique, and then he'll critique you. And he gave me about 30 seconds, and then sat me down and just looked at me and said, "You went to college, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "Did a lot of plays?" I said, "Yes." "Musicals too, right? I bet you sing." I said, "Yeah, I do." And I volunteered. I said, "I've been working professionally since I was 17." He goes, "Oh, professionally?"
Wow.
"Oh, what does that mean?" I said, "It means I got paid for it." And he goes, "Oh." And then he just stared me down, and he just said, "I don't believe a word you say. I don't believe you never have one real moment. You're just an indicator. You go back and start at the beginning, and we hope you'll catch up." And that was the first time I started really doubting myself and doubting my own talent. And that never left me. After I graduated, I never had the confidence and the fortitude to stick with it.
Wow. It's got to be rough, because it seems like you went your entire life up to that point, at least in acting, being told yes, and having, it's like being like a star athlete in a small school,
right,
where it's like you are the most powerful person on earth, and then you come face to face with, like you said, God, and you have to hear it from that high authority the first time you say no, and that's got to be pretty devastating psychologically.
It really was.
Wow,
it really was.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But how long before you decided to change gears?
I knocked around for. I graduated from. I did get into the second year. They did like my work well enough to ask me back to the second year, and I graduated, and I started just working here and there and auditioning, and it was as for most actors, it's a feast or famine life, and I did okay during the feast times, but during the famine times, it was just brutal for me.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I just kind of said to myself, I want a normal life. I want I want to meet a girl and get married and move to Westchester and have a couple of kids and have a regular job that pays me. And that's exactly what I did.
And there's no, I mean, I think there's a moment in your life, if you reach that point, where if you see everything as clearly as you obviously did, I think that's honorable. I think there's an honor in saying that's what you want, and then you go get it,
with
no matter
one
what
major
it is.
exception.
Which is?
Well, the major exception is you have to prepare yourself to live a life of regret.
Well, and do you feel that regret?
I did for a very long time. It was certainly in the beginning was very rough. If I went to see a play or saw a film and I went, oh God, I could do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm as good as that guy. Or,
right.
And I never found until I found teaching. I didn't have anything to replace the feelings that you get, the great feelings you get when you act.
Yeah. It's very unlike pretty much anything you can do out there, I imagine, because whether you are in front of people or not as part of your job, you are you. But you get when you're doing an acting job, you're doing it through the filter of another person.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything else that quite compares to that.
No, there's not. The only thing that teaching gave me was that I knew that there was a level of performance that I had to hit in order to get students to really buy into everything I was trying to teach them. Mm-hmm. And
there's definitely a performance aspect to it, no doubt about it. Teaching, yeah. So you ended up Did you go cold turkey from doing any kind of performing, or did it take a while to kind of get it out of your system?
I did go cold turkey.
Wow.
I went to work for pretty much so. I went to work for theater. I got a job in a theater, being an associate artistic director at a theater, and that became a successful venture, except for the fact that we were being paid by the government, and then the government grant went out. And then I eventually found my way to my first job as a talent agent. Didn't really like it. I was befriended by a woman named Marcia Schulman, who's said, your skills really lend itself to being a casting director because you speak the actor's language and you can direct. So you should be a casting director. And so that bridged into an 18-year career as a casting director.
And I would say that worked out fairly well then.
It worked out well. And I vowed to do it for as long as I was happy, making more money every year, and not getting bored. And for a long time, everything worked out great. But in the end, the money plateaued because of the advent of the internet. Many things have made it difficult for a casting director to sustain a career the way we used to. Yeah. And I was also the tedium of the repetition of the job of casting really started to get to me. And once I felt like I was just not intellectually challenged at all, I was looking for a way out. And one day somebody called me from the William Morris Agency and they said, hey.
So that's pretty fortuitous.
Would you like to come here?
Yeah. What year was it that you closed up shop?
I left in 1997.
Oh, right. You mentioned that earlier, which was very early in the internet age. So you got out probably the right time.
I got out in retrospect, in my own mind, I got out at exactly the right time.
Right. So you worked with William Morris. I just want to backtrack a little bit because you when you were with Meisner, who else was in that class? Who else were you working with at the time?
Well, my girlfriend, she was my girlfriend for 5 years, who I met the first day doing repetition exercises, was Mary Steenburgen. Academy Award winner, Mary Steenburgen.
Pat yourself on the back a little bit. Yeah, of course.
And my best friend was, who was my first roommate, was a guy named Rusty Russ, or professionally known as William Russ. And he went on to do a lot of work, and he's best known by a younger generation of being the dad on the series Boy Meets World.
Sure. Yeah, no, that was a good gig.
And he had a lot of good roles on TV, and I think now he lives in Hawaii, and I think he directs mostly.
Wow, and that was just one small sample of the people who have been through there. And do you find connecting? Do you still connect with anybody who who says they were with Sanford Meisner and actually learned from him. Does that give you sort of any
instant connection?
Yeah, I imagine it must. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty cool because it's no longer possible. Yeah.
Yeah. And we all went through the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. So then you spent time with casting and you and I have talked before about how you were there at the beginning of many careers. In casting, do you feel like you kind of found anybody specifically that you pat yourself on the back about?
Yes.
A leading question if there ever was one.
Right. Yeah. Yes, Dave. I have. I can claim there's one person in particular that I could actually claim that I quote unquote discovered. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't casting. It was in my first agent job. Meg Ryan. She was actually her mom was there for the appointment, being interviewed by the head of the agency, and she was sitting in the waiting room. She was 17 years old, sitting in the waiting room, and I walked out and I saw this creature. She was just that face, and just oh my God, and I walked back into the commercial room and I got a gay colleague of mine. I said, listen, I need a litmus test here. And so could you go out and look at this girl and tell me if she's absolutely extraordinary or not? And he went out and he goes, oh yeah, she's incredible. And I went up to her and I said, kind of like, the equivalent of like, little girl, do you want to be in show business? I said, are you here to see somebody? And she said, no, my mom's here. And I said, oh, well, are you interested in show business? She goes, oh, I'm really interested. I said, how old are you? She goes, I'm 17. I'm still in high school. And I said, well, come in here. And we all interviewed her and we all kind of like instantly fell in love with her. And within a couple of years, she got her first film, which was a film called Rich and Famous, directed by George Cukor. And then she got on the soap, and she got on As the World Turns, and that's what really propelled her very quickly. And
at no point did you look at her and say, you're not good looking enough.
No. And I did, the same thing happened with Matthew Broderick at the beginning of his career, but I could never take credit for Matthew Broderick because he did have a famous father who was an actor. So he would have been found out by anybody. But, and when I was casting, the people that you would know were the real special ones were mostly the kids. Like I remember distinctly. I remember Macaulay Culkin at the age of 5.
Wow.
And Kirsten Dunst at the age of 3.
Wow.
Lindsay Lohan when she was very young and
crazy,
very innocent.
Yeah.
Any kid who kind of had success in New York, a lot of really great kids.
You can just tell.
You can tell very easily. I could take any jerk off the street and show them these auditions and say, you think that kid's going to be a star? And they go, oh, the kid's pretty incredible.
Yeah. It is crazy that little thing does exist. That little it factor is an absolute truth. And it's fun when you do get to, I haven't had the position to spot talent and say like that person will be a star that early, but I get to see them a little bit further in their career. And I can remember seeing Stephen Colbert and something and going, that guy's going to be huge because they just have this thing.
Right.
And it's undeniable. So you left William Morris, at some point. In your journey. I
had a 4-year contract there, and I served out the term of my contract. When I got there, it was a case for me of right job, right career change, wrong company, and mostly because I'm an acquired taste, personality wise. I'm a little on the rebellious side.
You're not the subservient.
I speak without a filter, and sometimes it really gets me in trouble.
Right.
But there, the thing that I'm much more into developing people than I am into servicing celebrities. And a lot of that job there is servicing celebrities.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. And of course, people make incredible money doing that. But it's never been about money for me. It's about, even as I said that, it sounds so sickeningly saccharine. And I apologize to anybody who's listening to this.
As you plant a tree, as you say it, yeah.
It's not about the money. Of course, it's about the money. But I get much more satisfaction out of getting a guy a job who needs the money.
Sure. I can imagine. I mean, it's human nature to feel good about something like that. Yeah. And I know you had experience with people who didn't quite appreciate everything you did for them, and that made a difference for you.
Yeah, that happened on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, which is a shame, because I think, as an actor, I can say that we've got to feel an immense level of gratitude for people who work much, much harder than we do to actually get us the work that we want to do. There's nobody else who gets that privilege. I mean, if you want a job as an accountant, there's nobody out there getting you a job as an accountant and doing the most of the accounting job for you so you can come in and write the final number at the end. I mean, that's basically what we do. So to not have gratitude for that, that kind of makes me ill. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
So you came to Abrams. How long you been here?
I've been here since 2000. Since January 2002, I believe.
2002. So we're about 13 years into it. Yeah, 12 years into it. And when you started, have you always done voiceovers here, or did you?
When I was hired at William Morris, I was hired as a commercial agent, and which encompassed doing everything both on camera and off camera. Okay. I always, as a casting director, in my later years as a casting director, I just fell in love with the art of voiceover. And there's no job in the world like it where, it's the most amount of money for the least amount of time expended and effort. And it's all about your voice and your talent, and nobody gives a shit what you look like. And it's just a wonderful thing when physicality is kind of taken out of the equation and it's just about your talent. And so I was always enamored with that. And when I got the job here at Abrams, I specifically said I want to work exclusively in the voiceover department.
Well, good for you. And in doing so, you mentioned your joys in bringing people up. Who have you brought in here who you can kind of take claim and say, hey, that guy, they started right here?
Well,
another leading question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I go back to William Morris, I've had a 20-year relationship and friendship with Will Arnett, and started him when he was just a scale guy, and
it's done well for him.
He's doing okay.
Yeah.
And he also has the which I'm most proud of anything I've ever done as an agent. He has the longest running account on television. He has the GMC truck account.
Oh, okay.
And he's been doing it now. We're entering our 18th year.
Wow.
Doing it.
So he wasn't a name at all when he started.
No, he was just a scale guy.
And nowadays and just to not get too, behind the scenes, shop talk kind of stuff. But we're talking about doing voiceovers for car commercials. And nowadays there are mostly celebrities doing the car commercials. That's kind of like
there's certain products, certain accounts where they have, obviously a lot of money to spend.
Sure.
They will engage celebrities in those deals, but I also have scale people doing car commercials too.
Right. But for someone to be the voice of that, starting out as a scale guy, as you say, as the lowest paid actor you can hire for that kind of job, that's really impressive. I mean, to hang on to that is really impressive.
Well, hanging on to it has been quite an art.
I can imagine.
Because I almost predicted as his fame grew. Obviously, I was going to have to charge more money for his services. He wouldn't be a scale guy
very long, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I needed to have the ad agency on board to think this is good for us as well as for him that he's getting famous. So yes, we'll have to pay him more, but he's more valuable to us as a voice. And he just happens to be, my favorite thing about him is that no matter how famous he's gotten and no matter how much money he's made and he absolutely cherishes this account, and he cherishes the art of voiceover, and he never wants to stop.
That's great. I mean, it says a lot about him.
He doesn't need this money, but it's not about the money to him. No, it's about the art form.
You rarely hear that among big time players anymore, but that's great. I mean, good for him to have started low and then gotten to that height and saying I don't want to get rid of all the stuff that got me here. That's That's impressive.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, I mean, this has gone really quick. We could have gone for 2 more hours, but as you talk to me, you're not making other people money. So, I got to let you go. But for somebody who is...
We can stay as long as you'd like.
Well, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. And we'll have to do another one. Okay. But for the general purposes of somebody who's listening to this going, hey, I always wanted to be in voiceovers. What do I do to get started? What's the official Billy Serow recommendation for somebody who's like, I want to get into voiceovers?
Well, my first recommendation would be study to be an actor. It's an actor's world.
Yeah.
Certainly every week of my life, there will be examples of someone who says, hey, people tell me I have a great voice. I have a great voice for voiceovers. You think I could do voiceovers? And I say, well, what do you do for a living? He goes, I'm a plumber. I go, okay, well, I'm sure you do plumbing really well, but it's an actor's world and you have to study acting in order to do voiceovers.
Yeah.
No matter how great your voice is, it's just an actor's world.
Yeah.
And, the better actor you are, then, it's voiceovers is a little bit more. When I teach voiceovers, I teach people who have a very strong acting background. So all I'm really teaching them are the very subtle technical adjustments that they have to make when it's just them and a microphone in a small room.
Mm-hmm. So basically just go to acting school.
Yeah, you have to learn how to be a good actor to do voiceovers.
And once you've gotten to the point where you feel like you can handle yourself on a stage or in front of a camera, what's the biggest adjustment you give to either students? And you teach it at Yale.
I teach at Yale and I teach at Rutgers.
Right, both of them. And you're teaching people who are already in theater programs. What's the biggest nugget of info you think you share with them that changes their game?
It's a Meisnerism. And his phrase, his saying is, every little moment has a meaning all its own. And what I mean by that is how that translates into voiceover land is that a lot of people will read, copy or script or material and they'll miss little moments. They'll understand the larger moments, but they'll miss the little moments. And the little moments are what makes a piece of copy just elevates a performance into something that really is a full-blown, fully realized performance. And to be specific, to have a specific point of view, and to never let a moment go by without attaching meaning to it. That's kind of what I would respond to that.
That's pretty cool. If anybody out there wants to get in touch with you, are you available at all? I mean, you're a big name agent, so.
I'm available for dates.
Billy Serow is on the lookout, my friends.
Looking for a girlfriend. Now, I can, they can always, email me, which is billy.serow@abramsartny.com.
That's very kind of you.
And I look at every email I ever get, and every reel that's sent to me, I'll always listen to it.
What's your preferred format?
MP3.
MP3.
Yeah. And obviously I get sent a lot of reels, and it's hard for me to being an ex-actor, I'm sensitive to the plight of the actor, and I realize I take everything that everyone sends me seriously, but obviously, there are only so many places on a client list where I can effectively represent the several hundred people I represent.
Right. But that's probably something that most people don't understand is that you have a specific type and you can only have so many people for that type that fit within that because it only makes your job harder.
Yeah. And just also advertising trends, there's certainly more opportunities for people who are 20-something, 30-something than there are, or bridging into 40-something than there are for people in their 50s and 60s.
Sure.
So,
do you do Twitter?
I follow people.
You do well on Twitter.
But I don't post.
You ought to just get one of those things that lets you post it both at the same time. Because you put those little nuggets up there. I think people would appreciate that. Yeah. But you do have a Twitter account.
I do.
So maybe people will listen to this and say, get on Billy's case. Tell him to tweet more. And what is it? At
Billy Serow.
At Billy Serow. Yeah. So get in touch with Billy. Let him know that you want his bon mots on a regular basis.
I will try.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
The very Billy Serow, fun guy to talk to. Such a wealth of information and experience and great stories, and I'm serious. I'm looking forward to having him back on the show as soon as we can arrange it, so we can hear more fun stories. We heard his story, but he's got plenty more in his back pocket, and it'll be fun just to shoot the breeze again and get that on tape, because I really enjoyed this one. He does have a Twitter at Billy Serow. If you do want to just kind of maybe prod him a little bit, say, hey Billy, use your Twitter more. Maybe he will. But for now, that's where you can find him on Twitter. And he did graciously invite anyone who might have a question who has listened to this podcast. You can send him an email, billy.serow, that's S-E-R-O-W, billy.serow at abramsartny.com. Now, considering the number of emails I'm sure he gets and how busy he is and how important he is for that agency, for him to give his email address out in this way, it says a lot about him and his desire to help out people who are trying to develop their careers and get somewhere in this business. So good for you, Billy, and thank you for being here with me, and it was a lot of fun, and I look forward to the next time we can chat either with a microphone or not. That about does it for another edition of Bring Your Own Lunch. Of course, got to thank Banuba, banuba.net. Go check them out, find out where they'll be playing live, download some of their music. They are great. Don't forget to submit your voice to be the new voice at the beginning of Bring Your Own Lunch. You can just throw it onto an MP3 and send it to me, Dave at bringyourownlunch.com. Tuesday night, December 16th, 8 p.m. at Treehouse Theater NYC. The New York Short Film Shootout number 6 will be happening. Make your plans to come join us. Send us your short film submissions at nysffso.com, and we would love to see you at that theater. Check out treehousetheaternyc.com for the venue where the short film shootout will be held, and of course, come get in touch with us. We'd love to connect with you. You can find us on Facebook. Like us there. Facebook.com/BringYourOwnLunch. You can follow us on Twitter at BYOL Podcast. Every Friday we do Thanks for Following Friday, where we'll shout out to you if you do join us that week and follow us. We will in kind tell the world about you. And you can always go to our website, bringyourownlunch.com. Send me an email, dave@bringyourownlunch.com. And of course, please, please, please go to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe, download, share. You can do it on Stitcher too. That's great. If you want to rate, review, subscribe that way also, you can really help us out by spreading the word. And I would certainly appreciate it. And you would be awesome in doing so. Stay tuned for the Jimmy Jack Cow Punch Hour, followed by Mansoor and the Fish. And until next week, when I have another great guest lined up, this is Dave. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Cornbread.